So let's get back to some more words before I go into UCC. I'm running a little bit behind here, and I am going to catch up. But there's 3 or 4 more words that I really want to treat, because everybody goes around and they want to demand due process. How many of you have seen or heard, we just want due process of law? Okay? Well, let's talk about what does that mean. Here's what it means to me. You figure it out for you. The account is due, and we're here to process it. Okay? If all actions are civil actions and all crime is commercial, due process simply then must mean the account is due and we're here to process it. We'll process it however you want, but it will be processed. Okay? So that's kind of an interesting little treatment that you can do with due process. Now, let's take the word, we talked about the term that has been invented by law enforcement of testifying. Okay? And in that, first of all, they must go to court and testify. And then, in your own defense, you get to go testify. Well, let's break that word apart. When you testify, it breaks apart like this. You are test if I am innocent or guilty. Testify. Why do I want to go test if I'm innocent or guilty? Okay? That's the way the word is constructed. Isn't that what you're doing? Anything you say can and will be used against you. So you can go and test if you're innocent or guilty. I prefer not to. Now, one of my favorite words was straw man. Okay? Straw man in black 6th. A front, a third party who is put up in name only to take part in a transaction. In other words, if they put my name up here, the only reason this is it's a straw man put up in name only to take part in this transaction. Well, what that means is anytime that appears in any kind of case, all you have is a transaction going on. And you're transacting business. And then the judge says, this is not a commercial court and the UCC does not apply. And then he says, there being no further business before the court is adjourned. Wait a minute, I'm confused. Business before the court. We calculated 5 years ago now, in Boise, there's 5 traffic courts. We calculated that they made $26.75 a minute each, every minute they were open. But there's no commerce going on here. Okay? This is justice. Just us. And we're collecting. And if we don't collect, you go to jail. But there's no debtor prison. Okay? And we're just here to help you get all your money. Okay? Now, the only word better than straw man is dummy. Because this is an exact picture of what these attorneys did to my friends in federal court. Remember when he said, I stand alone and I don't think you've met my clients, the defendants? Okay? Well, he had the dummy that he represented or represented. He was representing this dummy entity. Okay? The straw man. Now, the definition of dummy is a sham, make-believe, pretended, imitation. Person who serves in place of another, or who serves until the proper person is named or available to take his place. You get that? When he said, I don't think you've met my clients, the defendants, and he tugs them up, he made them available to take the place of the dummy. See how deceitful this is? So when you're watching a TV show, on the lawyer shows, and the defendant's sitting there and the jury comes in at the end of the show, the judge says, will the defendant please rise and face the jury? I'm now named or available to take the place of the dummy. Okay? So what happens if I just sit there and the attorney stands up? He says, come on, get up. No, you take the charge. You're the dummy. They're not going to pry me out of that chair with dynamite. Okay? You have to pay attention to what they're doing, because what they're doing is they're conning you. Because you're about to be convicted. You following this? Okay? It's just words, but words are everything. Words are how we communicate. Words are what we use to say how smart or dumb we are. Okay? So we have to pay attention to what's being asked of us. A fella says earlier, he asked me a question at lunchtime. And it was a very innocent question. He was just seeking information from me. And I said, what's your name? Do you have a claim against me? Because he was in his own way attempting to elicit information that I was unwilling to give him. And I was merely trying to show him that when someone asks you something, I do this to my family. Hey, this is not, if you don't live this, you're not going to get it. Hi, how you doing? Do you really want to know? Do you? Well, not really. Then why did you ask? If you ask me a question, I will tell you. If you don't want to know the answer, don't ask. Don't ask me how I'm doing, because I'll say, do you really want to know? If I say, fine, how are you? Isn't that the programmed response? And they say, fine, and I say, why? Why are you fine? And then all of a sudden they have to stop and think. Wait a minute, nobody's ever asked me that before. You have to get out of the programmed response. If you're going to exist in a programmed response, you're going to jail. You're going to lose everything you have, and you're going to wake up one morning and go, what happened? I was over here in my own little corner in my own little chair, where I could be whatever I wanted to be. And then along came a spider, and I'm... because I didn't understand what somebody said. Because I never thought about the words they were approaching me with. Okay? I never understood that it depends on what your definition of is. Did anybody look that up? You know that is in the law dictionary. And of course we all know how we knew Clinton was lying. His lips were moving.